But I would love to hear your story about fertility and that you shared at the retreat. Have you got a couple of minutes of that in you?
Oh yeah, that's no problem. So pretty much once I got my first diagnosis, when Leslie first contacted me, she said, well, have you thought about, you know, fertility? And I was like, no. She said, did the doctor mention it? And I was like, no. And pretty much they said that, you know, well, you know, chemotherapy could pretty much cause you to be sterile. I was only 32, I was single. I was like, well, I never really thought about kids. She said, you know, you should go to the sperm bank and at least get it frozen, just in case. So I go to the sperm bank and they said, yeah, well, you know, well, it's like $300 or $400 to store it for 3 or 4 years. And if you can't afford it, then we can help you along with that. So she said, you got to come back for 3 different days. So she said, you know, don't do anything for a few days, and we'll schedule you to come in. So the first day I go in, and they give you the little cup, and you go into the little room, and, you know, you do your thing. And you come out. And
I'm not sure I understand. You do your thing?
Do your thing, yeah. Like,
You must be saving that for the end. Go ahead. I won't ruin the surprise.
well, you know, I don't want to demonstrate or anything. But anyway, you provide your specimen into a cup, and you bring it out. You're expecting, you know, an older lady or something, but it was this little 20-something-year-old first day nursing. And there I am with my cup, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. So then the senior nurse comes over, and she says, you know, starts talking, and she was like walking her through every step, and I was like, you know, it's bad enough I'm here holding the, you know. Finally, we get all the paperwork and everything straightened out, so I go home. So I'm down to the laundromat and get a phone call, and it's the lady at the sperm bank. She said, oh, we got your sperm count. I was like, okay, perfect. She says, you got like 2. I was like, 2 million? Awesome. She's like, no, like 2. I'm like, 1, 2. And so anyway, I was like, really? And she goes, yeah, just 2. And I was like, oh. She said, do you have a laptop? I was like, no. She said, do you do this? No. Do you do this? No. She said, well, we don't write you off until the 2nd test. We go back a couple of days later and do my same song and dance again. Well, not really dancing, but, you know.
It was singing, was it? There was singing.
It was a singing, yeah.
Singing.
Yeah, there was some singing involved, yeah.
I like it.
Do the same thing, give it to the nurse. It wasn't a young one this time. Leave, get the phone call again. And just by coincidence, I'm back at the laundromat. Through the jigs and the reels, she was like, yeah. She said, your 2nd test confirmed that, you know, you only have like 2. And I was like, oh. And she said, so you won't be able to have kids. And I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, the laundry's going. You're having difficulty processing, you know, with the spinning and the drying and all that good stuff. She said, so you don't really need to come back in for the 3rd day. And I was like saying to myself, well, how am I supposed to find out how the movie ends? I was like, you know, did the 2 Army women get together or stay together? Or does the general, you know, well, get between them? I was a bit disappointed, and I never got the title when I was in there, so. So I was like, no, I said that's fine. And of course, you know, I got tons of friends with kids. So I'm the uncle, you know. When they start to get fussy, I can leave. So pretty much, you know, that's the way I handled it. It was definitely an eye-opening experience, to say the least, to go through it all.
That's right. It is an eye-opening experience. Another part of the unique part about dealing with cancer as a young adult, because odds are, unless you're Hugh Hefner or something, if you were 75, you probably wouldn't have been concerned about your fertility going to chemo treatment. But because you're in your 20s and 30s, it's another part of that unique challenge.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks for telling us.
Especially if your doctor doesn't mention it. Like, I mean, you know, you were lucky, you know, because you told me when I first started talking about it, they never told you, and you already had your chemo and all that stuff. And lucky enough, you have 3 wonderful children now. Yeah. So. Yeah,
we are incredibly lucky, and that was another part of the challenge for me was finding out after that I'd started treatment that I was likely going to be sterile after a bone marrow transplant. Yeah. So that was my attempt. I attempted to bank sperm, and I had none. I didn't even have 2. So
had you beat there, no pun intended.
That's right. Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, thanks for sharing that, and we're gonna roll.